If you have the fender flares on the front that come down over the front bumper valance, those fender flares will have to be removed as well. If your fender flares just come to this point here, then you should be able to leave them in place. To remove them, you've got a series of screws underneath here. All right, first thing we want to do is remove the pieces underneath the headlights. There are two lock pins there. You might want to have some extra ones on hand because they don't always come out very easily, and if they're old, they'll probably break. And then when you get to the working on the side, there's actually two pins that actually secured in place, and you want to use a pry tool to go ahead and pop the rest of it out. Next, we're going to remove the bolts for the upper valance. They're 10mm bolts. I believe there's a total of 14 running across the top. Here, here, and then along the front edge. All the way across to the other side. There are also 8 retaining clips that hold the front valance in place that need to be removed as well. There are 2 more bolts on each side holding the front valance in place that are underneath the front headlights. You got one here, one here, and again on the other side, same spots, one located here and another one located here. Alright, there's 6 more bolts holding this across bar on. There's 2 here, 2 in the center, and then 2 on the end. These are all 10mm bolts. Alright, the outside support bracket will need to come off next. We've got a 10mm bolt there, and then there's 3 bolts inside this bumper support, and then underneath here. Now we're going to remove the outer brackets. There's a left one here, one just like it on the other side, and then the center bracket here. The 17mm bolts that secure the tow hooks, or in my case these aftermarket tow hook supports, will need to be removed. One reason will be to get better access to the bolts that actually hold the front bumper in place. Now that the tow hook's out of the way, we have better access to the 4 bolts that secure the bumper to the frame. These are 14mm bolts. Again, there's 3 on the outside, 1 on the inside, and the same setup on the other side of the bumper. If you have aftermarket shocks that have a additional reservoir like these Vertex, where it's mounted forward, it uses this bracket that mounts to the frame, which is the same place where this bracket here is going to mount. And the problem that we run into is this little piece here is supposed to feed through this hole and come out 2 holes that are behind this plate. Well, of course we can't get to the plate right now because this is the way, so we have to undo the front sway bar mount, take this bracket off, and and then add the other piece to it, put everything back together, and go from there. Alright, to get this where it needs to be, which is behind these two holes here, we're going to have to go in through this hole, feed it around. But first, we got to take this cover off here. Alright, so we have the winch plate and then the brackets that the front part of the bumper, the center part, will actually mount to the winch plate. Now on this part, it's going to take 3 bolts on each side, and we'll use the short bolts. And there'll be a flat washer on the outside, and then on the inside there'll be a flat washer and a lock washer along with a nut. And there'll be 3 on this side and 3 on the other side as well. Just loosely fitted for right now. Alright, I ran into a little bit of an issue, but I think I've worked around it. We got the line here. It was rubbing against the bottom, and then the rubber piece was actually hitting this, so it would not sit flush. So what I ended up doing was I just took some 1/2-inch washers, took 2 each, and shimmed the bumper forward just a bit to give it enough clearance so that it wouldn't rub. Alright, so there's an L bracket that has bolts welded into it. That L bracket goes from here down, and it fits in from the inside here with the bolts sticking out. And then you get these 19 millimeter nuts with a washer, flat washer and lock washer holding it in. I have it on there loosely right now. It is a bit of a pain to get that L bracket in, but I promise you it does fit, obviously. You just got to do a little bit of wiggling to get it in there.